Welcome back, everybody, to the Elevate Cleveland podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Doyle, here with
Danny Nicolino.
Danny. Nice to have you here, man.
Nice to have you, man. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Danny. So we've known each other for a little bit now. We actually got introduced a couple, let's see, maybe 6 months ago from Matt Repa, your cousin.
Yeah.
We went to high school together back at Green in a suburb of Akron. Saw one of my posts on social media, and it was like, I think it was a post like, one of my tenants, their handrail broke. I had to replace it, and I couldn't get a contractor out there. So I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to put some sweat equity into this. Put a post on Facebook. He said, hey, love what you've been posting. I think you would really like my cousin Danny. I think you guys should talk. I don't think we hesitated. I think, you came in the next day or something.
It was real quick. I mean, we had a quick phone conversation or a text conversation, and I was here taking a tour of your place, like within a couple of days, if maybe the next day, like you said.
Absolutely. and everyone who doesn't know Danny, he's a super self-motivated guy. I mean, you wear a lot of hats. You've been doing a lot of things the last couple of years and everything, and super impressed with your profile and your resume. But Danny, just go ahead, plug yourself. What are you up to these days? Where are you from?
Traveling a lot.
Yeah.
Trying to keep the winter tan going, But yeah, so about me, name's Danny Nicolino. Grew up Talmadge, Ohio, so suburb of Akron as well. So surprised. What year did you graduate?
2014.
2014. We may have gone to high school the same. I graduated in 2012. So I mean, it was. Yeah,
right
really, I mean, we were in high school at the same time at some point. But yeah, so grew up there, went to University of Akron. But then, so now, I mean, one of the main reasons we're here today is, I'm big into real estate investing. So I have rental portfolio, I wholesale properties, flip properties. And really how we got started, really talking was my mastermind that I started as well. Chris, you joined it, and that's a way for people to, really come together, share ideas, be around like-minded individuals, for anyone who doesn't know what that mastermind is. But so I run a mastermind for the Akron, Cleveland area. And I'm also a business owner. I own an e-commerce business, and yeah, I mean, just tons of stuff. Wearing a bunch of hats, but that's the beauty of, being young and starting a business early is, you get to wear all those hats and you have the time and the ability to do that.
But that's not how you started. You started engineering.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So missed that whole part. So went to University of Akron for engineering, and then started engineering, and so to kind of rewind back to University of Akron. So just to kind of take a step back, I'm just super excited. So went to Akron, and I was part of the rocket design team there. So
very cool.
Rocket scientists, what I like to say is robots, rockets, and real estate. That's kind of my three big things.
Yeah, love it.
But yeah, so I helped with the design of the rocket and everything on the team. But then eventually I really got into leadership. So I was the president of the team for like two and a half years roughly till I graduated. Like 200 kids roughly on the team. So I mean, it was like running a business then. Cause you had all these different subsystems and, leadership meetings and everything. There's drama and all that crap. So It's just like running a business there. So it was a lot of really good training to, get into the business world just from that. And then just to kind of spill over, that was in college, and then met my current wife. So at the time we started dating when I was in college. We had gone, I think I had just started my engineering job at the time, but we had gone to a random real estate event after I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Sure.
And I'm not sure if you read that book.
Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
I was looking for it in here somewhere.
Should be around here somewhere.
These are all really good ones though. You got some good picks here. But yes, I read that book and I was just like, holy crap! Like this is like, everything I've been thinking of for so long. And not a lot of family members really were involved in real estate. So it was kind of a new thing. And, you've heard everyone has a bad story where someone got involved in real estate and they lost a bunch of money.
Sure.
And, their tenants wrecked their property. Like, you hear all those horror stories. And, I kind of dismissed it because, people have horror stories about everything.
Yeah.
But I read that book, went to a real estate event with my current wife, girlfriend at the time, and we were just hooked. We just loved the concept of just everything about it. So we dove deep into it. And we were one of those people that, we kind of got suckered in. We bought a class on it and everything, but which there's nothing wrong with. All it does is kind of expedites your learning curve, because I knew nothing. So I was cool with paying for it. Had some money at the time, just graduated, engineering job, making good money. So yeah, why not, go spend some money, expedite that learning curve.
Yeah.
So we did that. And then we ended up, coming out of that with a really good mentor and a lot of knowledge. Mm-hmm. So it was just awesome. We were able to, take that and then just start hit the ground running and investing in real estate.
And so you started, at that seminar, was it a seminar?
Yeah. So they had a seminar, and then they had another seminar that cost a lot more money. And then, you know how it goes. Have you ever done anything I'm sure in the lending space, there's similar things.
Absolutely.
Which, I don't think it's the best use of capital to spend a crap load of money for those. Now, masterminds are one thing. Those are different. I mean, you got to be around some high level people. Like I pay a lot of money every year just to be in different masterminds, not the one I'm in, or the one I run, I should say. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I know people who pay, and I don't right now, but pay multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars a year just to be in the room with those people.
Yeah.
Which I totally agree with that. But when you're starting off, I mean, if you don't have a lot of money and you're paying, 15, 20 grand for a couple classes on real estate, you can probably learn a lot of that basic knowledge on YouTube or whatever, which is, nothing wrong with that, but it expedites your learning curve and you meet some really cool people. And we met a really good mentor and they helped us out a ton.
And so obviously you're very well versed in real estate, buy, hold. You've done some flips too, right?
Flips, wholesaling, buy and hold rentals. We've owner finance properties. I mean, it's, so that creative finance, acquisition or sell. There's tons of different facets of real estate that you can get involved in. But yeah, we've done all of that.
Yeah. So how many units are you up to right now holding?
So holding, at the end of this month, it'll be 17.
That's incredible. Yeah. And how old are you?
27.
That's
impressive. I gotta beat my age is my goal.
Okay. Yeah.
so ideally before age 30, I want to be well above 30 units. But this year I want to beat my age, and then within the next 2 years, I want to have over 100 units at least, of residential of my own. I mean, that's the commercial's a whole nother beast, and we want to get into that as well more heavily. But
so, what all do you like about real estate? What really was the sell point for you?
Yeah, so real estate has so many advantages. You've got cash flow, which is number one, right? For me, I mean. The fact it's by no means passive income. I want to make that very, very clear because I mean you have a rental of your own, right? I mean just with what you just talked about before we got started was the what broke the handrail. Yeah, I mean stuff happens. If you own a stock that pays you a dividend, handrails don't break. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? The stock doesn't break. I mean it goes down in value much faster, which is another reason I like real estate though. It's stable. And it produces income, and it's not passive, but it's residual. So it will continuously produce as long as you have the systems in place to make you not have to go fix the handrails and do those things. Does require attention though, and there are some headaches, but that's okay. For what it gives you, a lot of tax advantages. Which depreciation is huge. Appreciation is another great advantage of it. And then on top of that, you've got the fact that you can leverage it. The fact that you can leverage, you can't leverage. I mean, you can leverage stocks, but that's just, in my opinion, kind of stupid. But
sure.
They're so volatile. With real estate is a stable income producing growth asset that you can leverage up to 80% loan to value in most cases, or higher if it's a special like a personal residence or something. But that's huge because of inflation. Think about it. I mean, you're over the last year, what was it, 7% inflation or something? Yeah. Ridiculous. I mean, you're getting, if you have a 3 or 2% interest rate or anything below 7%, really, which
your net loss.
You are being paid to borrow money at the end of the day. So it's amazing. And those are the main reasons. I mean, there's obviously just I like owning a physical, tangible asset, but that's not for everybody, but the financial reasons make a ton of sense to me.
So are you in any stocks then?
Yeah. I mean, I do. Yes. Have a stock portfolio. And at the same time, I went through that. that real estate class, they had like a whole nother program for stocks and options and everything. So of course, why not? Right? Learn a little, like it was like, oh yeah, pay an extra $1,000 and you get all this stuff, whatever. So I learned a lot about that as well. So I trade options. If you're familiar with covered calls or any of those strategies, I mean, they're real simple stock strategies. I don't do anything crazy, yeah. But I trade stocks and options as well. Then crypto. Real estate and crypto are like my two like homeboys.
Yeah, you would have really liked our last podcast with Yoshi Nakamura, huge crypto guy. Have you seen it?
Not yet. I didn't see the last one.
It just came out. You got to watch it. You got to promise me.
Yeah, dude. I got you.
What he was telling me about crypto was just insane. It's only been, maybe the last 10, 12 years, but you look at it's just a straight shot up.
Yeah.
Especially with Bitcoin. I mean, it's decentralized. You can't, like the people in Ukraine, right? He was saying, hey, the people that were fleeing Ukraine, they were going into Poland and Germany, and other countries, Moldova and Romania. Their banks can only take out a cap of $5,000 US dollars, right? Well, he's like, if you have cryptocurrency and of any sort, right, you could just cash out on crypto and it's on your phone. Use Google Pay or whatever you want to that converts it, take a train line over to Germany and you're good to go. When you have your monetary set or your fiat currency that's based on, whatever the government's issuing, they control it. Cryptocurrency is decentralized. So it was very interesting talking to Yoshi, our last guy, talking about that. And so I assume you're a proponent then. Absolutely.
And I mean, the biggest thing is making sure you are part of a true decentralized, cryptocurrency. Because there's some that are like the U.S. government's trying to make a cryptocurrency that is just based by the U.S. dollar essentially, and they would still control it. Mm-hmm. Just they want to be in the space because they know it's the future. And you're exactly right. I mean, like for that reason, it's funny. I know we were talking about real estate, but derailed to crypto. It's totally okay though. Back in 2011, I was, we were in high school at the time, but I was graduating high school. I had a buddy's brother's friend, which I know this just sounds stupid already, but we were all hanging out at my parents' house at the time. And he was like, man, you got to buy some Bitcoin. And this is 2011. Like this is
$200 maybe, or
if that. I mean, we were talking like real cheap, right?
Sure.
At the time, I'm like, what is Bitcoin? What is, it sounds like a scam, you know?
Yeah.
Which, okay, like a lot of things come out today like that, and I probably would think it is, and a lot of them are.
Yeah.
But, those are the things that it's like, I don't know how much he bought. I haven't seen him since. So I like, he's probably on an island somewhere.
Yeah.
But like, had I just put $1,000 in at that point in time, you know what I mean? Like
you retire.
Oh, I'd own an island.
Yeah.
It's just blows my mind. But that's the advantage of getting in early on things. So that's another reason, I want to, real estate is a great cash generation tool. It's consistent. It's repeatable. You can use it. Like, you can make money, you can do a flip, you can make money, or wholesale property, you can make money, build a bunch of cash, and you have the extra cash to go invest in some of those speculative investments, or crypto. You can deal with the ups and downs if you have your own cash in there. Leveraged real estate, thank God it's so stable, because if it went up and down like crypto and stocks did, you lose your mind.
Yeah.
And it has all the other advantages. So that's why I think a diversified portfolio of different asset classes is fantastic. Like that's a great way to grow your wealth. But the main base for me is always going to be real estate, just because of A, all the advantages it has, but B, it's just a great way. It's a tried and true method to build capital. I mean, one of the biggest things that, I heard recently is, not heard recently, I've heard about it a long time ago, but shiny object syndrome, right?
Sure.
So people get into shiny object syndrome all the time. They're, let's look at this crypto, or, let's invest in this business, or whatever, whatever the new thing is. Like, there's going to be new thing all the time. Like last one I heard of was SafeMoon, one of the cryptos that came out. I mean,
sure.
I don't know if it's ever done anything, but it gets hyped, right? And, the new way of thinking is move towards the hype. But, really you got to reverse that and think, okay, what works? What's tried and true that works? And
over a long period of time.
Yeah. And real estate, has, always been.
It's undisputable.
Right, exactly. So just do what works to make money, and then take that. Then you can deploy it where you want. And now, I mean, Bitcoin at this point is almost a tried and true method, because I mean, if you look at the long-term chart, it is just a straight line. Really, it has a big peaks and valleys, but it's going up, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I have no problem with investing in just what I know works.
Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about the other part of your business. Now, I know you said it's consultancy, right? As well as the Amazon dropship automation, right?
So so there's obviously the main real estate, the active real estate investing, I would call, is rentals, flips, wholesaling. Mm-hmm. That would be active real estate investing in my mind. Like, that's our active business. My wife does a lot of the lead generation for that. Like, that's a big portion of what we do. Now, you mentioned the consulting piece. So that's the mastermind group. So essentially it's a separate business that the goal of it is to help grow others' businesses. Mm-hmm. So I want people to, come together and help each, like that collective. The mastermind mentality is, hey, you have a bunch of smart, intelligent, and just motivated, like-minded individuals in the same room. You're going to do a lot more together than you will on your own. Yeah. And you got to make sure the right people are in the room. So, that's where, you got to make sure you find a way to weed out the tire kickers and people that don't really want to put the right mindset forward. So I started a group like that, and the goal of that company is eventually to help grow other people's businesses to that $1 million mark, or that $10 million mark, the $100 million mark. So as I grow, I want to pull people up with me, and then also get people started from the ground up. So I'm working on and it's probably going to be a free thing, but just a class to help people learn all these basics of real estate knowledge. I'm probably just going to throw it all on YouTube for free, because I'm not really big into selling classes. I just want, and there's nothing wrong with it, I'm just not super big into it, because people will take all that knowledge and not do anything with it. So I want them to have continuous support and either join or be a part of some sort of actual consulting, then just take a class. So I'm probably going to put all that out there for free, and then have that be like a segue into the consulting business. Okay.
And then the drop shipping.
Oh yeah. I mean,
let's talk about that. So just to preface, I mean, we'll talk about what it is.
Yeah.
But dude, if you're just, on YouTube, you get an ad. I've seen ads. 24 years old, I made $1 million Amazon drop shipping. Here's my Lamborghini. You know what I mean? It's probably rented, but
yeah, or it's somebody else's. They're in a parking lot.
Nonetheless, but hey, give us the facts. What is it?
Yeah.
Why should people do it? Why shouldn't you do it?
Yeah. So you're opening up a whole can of worms by going down this road, and that's okay. So drop shipping, essentially what it is you've got a store, right? And in this case, let's call it Amazon. You're selling on an Amazon store, a virtual store. You list a product. Someone buys your product. Then once it's purchased, you're going to turn around and buy that product from, let's say, Walmart.com or Sam's Club or somewhere, Home Depot, somewhere else. And that product's going to be cheaper there than you're selling it for. So you're going to make a spread. You're going to ship it directly to the customer from, let's call it Walmart. Okay. And they're going to get a package from Walmart. Like, it's never going to go to your hand or whatever. It's going to go directly from Walmart to them. And you bought it from Walmart for, let's say, $50, but you sold to them for $100. So you get to make a $50 spread there. Now, Amazon takes a small cut.
Sure.
But that's what drop shipping is. So there's tons of different ways to get involved in drop shipping. So you can build your own store, start your own Amazon account, start everything yourself, and just start building the supplier list, listing the products yourself, doing the research on the products. You can do all that yourself. And there's classes out there to do it. And it's, some of those are scammy. So in this weird internet space that we're in, there's a lot of scams, and they ruin
a lot of unknowns.
Yeah. And they ruin the field for everyone else, the reputation, the name of it for everyone else, because everyone thinks it's a scam. But a lot of them are, which is unfortunate. But you've got those, right? People that do that. But then sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I just started talking.
It's all good.
But, yeah, it's that's what it is. And you can start your own company that way. Or you can purchase one. So you can pay someone like a consulting fee or a marketing fee or whatever to build the store for you. So they're going to, build your Amazon account. They're going to build your supplier list. They're going to list the products for you. They're the experts at it. So like they know what products to sell.
Yeah.
They handle the returns. They handle like all that. It is a very labor intensive business.
Sure.
Like it is not a passive investment if you're doing it yourself. Mm-hmm. So if you pay someone, a partner, you give them half the profit to do it for you, pay them a fee up front. They can run everything for you, then it does become a passive business for you. And that's what I invested in. I invested in something like that. And, so far it's been working out great. In the short period of time that we've been doing it, we've had, I think, like close to 70,000 in sales. Now that does not mean 70,000 in profit. Let me be like very clear. That is gross sales. You make about 6% profit.
But it's passive. You know what I mean? And obviously, like as you said, in our busy world, when you can do anything passively, it's just going to be able to help you out. Half the time, a lot of people, at least for me, I don't need to be super, super wealthy. I just want to be able to one day, hey, listen, when I'm on vacation, I'm able to, still make a check, that's it. I don't need to make millions. It's just knowing that, hey, money's still coming in. And I think real estate, doing the creative things like you're doing with drop shipping, a lot of those things are very impressive. And obviously it's, tried and true, like real estate, that's going to get you there. But then it gives you the ability to try different, maybe more risky, volatile things like Bitcoin.
Right.
Yeah,
you said something there that's huge, and I want to highlight on it because, what's the point of having a fat bank account in a house full of strangers, right? You can make a ton of money, but the reason you're doing all that is your why. Like, what is your why? What is your purpose for doing everything you're doing? So, for me, I want to travel. I want to spend more time with my really close friends and my family, and I want to leave a legacy. Like those are the things that, I want to make an impact on the world. It's like those are the things that I do. The reason I do everything I do is because I want to get to that point. I want to be, that is the purpose, right? More of that. Everyone has some people, it's their kids, which I'm sure at some point it will be for me, but, I don't have kids yet. Four-legged ones, but that's, but yeah, so that's huge. So what you said there, it resonates because people spend, they're workaholics, and they spend a ton of time, working in their business, not on it. They're not developing systems. They're not finding ways to automate different pieces of their business. What they're doing is they're transactional every day, in and out. Like they're going to their business, working in it. Nothing wrong with that, but it's just another job. And why would you want to work 5 jobs and spend no time with your family, your friends, traveling on vacation? I know people who own a business but never get a day off a year, and they make good money, but they haven't been on a vacation since I've known them. And they're in their 50s or 60s, and it just blows my mind that that's the way they want to live, because I know they could change it. And who am I to they're a successful business owner and they make a crap load of money. So who am I to go tell them, hey, maybe you should think about switching this? But just looking at as an outsider looking in, I'm like, I never want to be that. I want to be someone who has businesses that are successful, and I want to be able to drive them and still be on at least one hand on the wheel, right? Yeah. But I don't want to spend my every waking hour of every day working. That would be inane. Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy, but you're obviously still very self-motivated. You're doing a lot of different things, right? So your days are pretty busy. Let me give you this narrative. So a lot, we're the same age, and a lot of millennials our age don't know how to handle money, right?
Very true.
Right. So how we get people pre-approved, first thing that we do as a mortgage loan officer is we pull credit. We look at your credit report, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, and we see, hey, what all do you have on credit and how much are you making? And then we take that ratio, it's debt to income ratio, and see exactly what that is. Typically we don't want to see anything over a 43% debt to income ratio.
And that's with the new loan included,
and that's with
right?
your housing payments. Yeah. So your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, your PITI, right? Well, a lot of millennials, and I don't know the statistic, a lot of people our age honestly just don't have their finances in order, right? I don't know if that's incorrect upbringing, or they just didn't have that financial intelligence. And I'm not talking like people that, were dropouts of high school. I'm talking people that were in college, or, have, essentially think they do have their lives together, but you kind of pull back the curtains and see, what exactly is going on here. I don't know the exact statistic, but I do know that a lot of people just do not have their finances in order these days.
You're exactly right. And I think it's derived from the consumer mindset that we're all just, it's around us every day.
You think we just spend too much money?
Well, have you read the book, A Changing World Order, A New World, or the Ray Dalio book?
Ray Dalio, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if I didn't see it. I saw the red one and I thought
Changing. Yeah. I'm reading it right now.
You're reading it right now? Okay. Mm-hmm. So in there, it talks about how whenever you get to a peak in society or the empire, people start to want to, work less and be less productive and I see that. I see what he's saying right now. Cause I mean, we're in this world, at least in the States, where you've got a consumer driven mindset. I want it now and I want it here and I want to pay. People will pay $25 for a $7 meal because it comes right to their house with DoorDash. I mean, like in some situations, I'm guilty. I do it, but like in my mind,
on a consistent basis,
but like it's every day, and it's not like they're rolling in cash. Like they're doing that just because it's like just out of pure convenience so they can not get off their couch and keep playing video games. Like, I mean, I'm taking some extremes here, but my point is that's the mindset we're in. That's the world we're in. I mean, with the world of Amazon, stuff comes to your house like next day or 2 days from now. I think that keeps driving. Like you've seen whenever you go to buy something online, they have a firm or whatever that you can pay 4 months instead of like if you buy a new mattress or something. Even on small stuff, like I saw a coffee maker that you could like spread the payments out over 4 months.
Oh, really?
And it blows my mind. It's like I don't even know how like that would even make sense for and it makes it a consumer. Oh, I don't need to pay $500 for a coffee maker. I can, or espresso machine or whatever it is. Like I can just pay $150 for that's easy. Okay and everything, but like maybe you shouldn't be buying it. If you're thinking like but that's the world we live in. Mm-hmm. And I think there's that piece of it, and then there's also the piece that people just weren't taught or brought up, like you said, with the knowledge of what is being looked at by the banks and the lenders. Like people don't really know anything that the normal layperson doesn't know really, how credit scores work or what goes into them. A lot of credit scores are low artificially. Like they accidentally report high balances because, they pay their statement off every month, but they charged a bunch of crap up before it got reported. So, from the current statement. So it looks like they have a high balance, but really they pay it off every month. Mm-hmm. So if someone, didn't know that and they went to go get a mortgage, I mean, it's difficult for them to get if they have high credit card balances, right? Potentially, because the debt to income might be, screwed up. But that's just an example of people just don't have that knowledge.
So millennials to other millennials, because right now a lot of millennials are getting into the home buying. They're getting into home buying.
Horrible time to do it too.
Well, would you rather do that or would you rather pay super high rent? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Fair.
So what's your advice just for the average millennial American right now? Let's say, you want to get them on the path to financial freedom. What are your steps? Is it paying down debt, or is it investing? What do you think?
Yeah. So I think paying down consumer debt is definitely a number one.
First.
I would say that's very high on the list, if not number one.
Okay.
Everyone's situation is a little different. So I don't know if it's going to be a tried and true what I say for everyone, but I think like if you have high credit card balances or high interest consumer debt, that's got to go first. Low interest, like fixed rate debt or installment loans, I'd push that off because, if you can make 10%, why would you, pay down 5%? You know what I mean? Like it just financially, it doesn't really make a ton of sense, especially in the inflationary environment that we're in. If your rate is below the rate of inflation, you're getting paid to borrow the money, as we talked about earlier. So, I mean, high interest stuff, get rid of it. It's parasitic. It's just going to suck from you forever until you get rid of it. But then the next step, if you want to I would say find a way to build cash. So the next step is, find whether it's real estate or not, but just use the real estate as an example, wholesaling, flipping, or, I say wholesaling and flipping like it's all, if you find a deal, you're going to find a good deal. The deal's going to tell you what exit strategy to do, whether you want to keep it as a rental, flip it, wholesale, whatever. But as you're starting out, the mindset should really be, what can I do to generate more cash quickly? Because if you have to, put 25% down on a rental property and you plan on using your own cash, then, you can buy one, right? And then it's just gonna, it'll pay you rent and cash flow, but that's not going to make you rich. It's not going to, you got to find a way to build a pool of cash first and then start deploying it into cash flow investments. So I'd say make $200,000 a year consistently, like cash wise, like be able to pull in around $200,000 a year, at least in like the Ohio area. I think that's a good metric. Might be different in other areas of the country, but if you can do that in this area of the country, I would say do that for a couple of years. Just start banking some cash, maybe put in some stocks, crypto, whatever, but try to keep as much of it as you can. Then start deploying it into cash flow investments, build that cash flow up. And then after that, you can start moving into more portfolio, more real passive investments like lending or something like that.
So pay down debt,
Yep.
build your cash reserves up,
Yep.
and then start investing.
You're investing the whole time. Like if you can, start doing wholesaling, flipping, stuff like that to help build cash. And that's what I really mean. I'm not saying go get a job that pays you $200,000 a year. I'm saying, find a way to start earning cash in your business.
Sure.
That would be the first thing. Pay down the debt. Find a business that earns cash and can scale. And then after you've done that, start really pushing it into cash flow investments. I would think the next, because I'm all about rentals, right? But if you only buy one, it's going to take you forever to buy the next one if you're using all your own cash. I say this with a caveat of if you can raise the money or get equity partners or use private money to buy the property or put the down payment in, and then you obviously can fix it up and refinance, pay them back or whatever. That's a much better route to go because you can buy as many rentals as you want that way. It's just finding the right deals. And right now it's hard to find deals, but they're there. They're out there.
Hard to find deals right now. Are the market, and I'm licensed in 17 states in the U.S. and every city and every state is just, it's tough, man. Inventory's low, right? You have, with home builders, with our supply chains are just very slow. Gas is I think it was like at $4.17 in Medina, and that's gonna hurt our supply chains even more. Gonna make everything more expensive. Well, for an investor like you, are you seeing that? Hey, I'm trying to get the next deal. Where is it at? Is it not as fruitful in finding these deals? Because I could tell you my buyers right now are having a hard time.
Yeah. I've had a lot of friends that are buying on market real estate, like first time home buyers and such, and it's a total shit show. It's awful. They're offering $30,000 over ask. And
waiving inspections.
Waiving inspection, escalation clause, close in 30 days or less, lender approved, message that says that. It's just nuts. And they're not getting their offers accepted. It just blows my mind. But with what we do, typically we're marketing, whether it's direct mail, whether it's cold calling, text blasting, email blasting, we're finding deals that aren't listed on the MLS or even on Zillow. They're total off-market deals. So it's somebody who's either moved away from their property, they had a divorce in the family, a death in the family, the property's just messed up, and it needs a lot of work, and we're marketing to them off market because those properties typically have something wrong with them or whatever that if you listed on the MLS, it wouldn't sell well, or there's tenants in there. They don't want a bunch of traction walking through. It might be a situation where the seller needs a certain amount of cash and they can't afford to pay a realtor or something. Everyone has their own reasons, right?
Sure.
But, we invest that, we find deals that way. So there's been less of them over the last year that we've been able to find, but I can't say that they've dried up. They're still there. We've had no issues finding them. It's just it seems like we've had to spend more to find them, if that makes sense with our marketing. I definitely see the same issues though, like in the rest of the world, like supply chain wise, like in our rehabs, building. lumber, obviously, and all like everything that we're buying for our supplies. Like we have to change supplies sometimes in our rehabs because those parts are out of stock. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's a crazy world we live in. I really think a lot of it's inflated demand. I think you've got Home Depot selling to the customer, right? And then you've got, Home Depot's supplier, then the factory or whatever. And like, there's just a chain of over ordering, I think, that goes on because you've got the customer saying, hey, I'm out. And then Home Depot's like, oh, I need, 50 of these, but to make sure I get 50, I'm going to order 200. And then their supplier's like, oh, well, if they want 200, crap, I need to order 800. And then like it's like this because there's all these delays already, so you need to order a bunch of extra to fill the demand. So I think it's all inflated demand.
Really?
And, I think that's like the real issue that we're experiencing. Obviously supply chain has issues, but once those get solved, I think this excess demand, I think it's going to start to dry up, and I think it
So how do you respond to that then to cease that?
Yeah, I mean, local supply chain if you can. So like for example, our flooring comes from a company that's like right down the road, and it's all local. So a lot of our suppliers for our buildings, it's all very, very local, and small businesses is really what we found works really well for us. We've even started to buy some things and just keep them in our own little storage. So that helps tremendously just because it's there. Like we use the same flooring, we use the same paint. Like we have a couple, a couple, probably that's an understatement, but a bunch of 5-gallon jugs, the exact same gray paint we use in all our rentals and all our flips. So, I mean, we just keep it because it was last year. It never really ended up becoming a big issue, but there was a paint shortage last year for a short period of time, and it was difficult to get the paint we wanted, so we just bought a bunch of it.
Yeah. So where do you see? So obviously on the residential side, you have newlywed couple trying to buy their first home, and it's just difficult. There's just not a lot out there. Like you said, you've got friends trying to purchase houses, and they're going $20,000-$30,000, up to these escalation clauses. Is it back to that inflated demand? I mean, how do we get back to a point where, we get back to an equilibrium where a seller can sell their home for what they want and the buyer gets to buy the home at the same price,
Let me pull out my crystal ball real quick here.
Right,
but,
yeah.
No,
yeah.
I mean, but I say that, jokingly, but in all seriousness, I think it's going to be painful, my own opinion, to get there. I mean, I think like right now we've got a ton of demand and very, very low supply on the market, like real estate wise, like people selling houses. And over the last couple of years, during COVID and everything, you've had, interest rates plummet to nothing. Mm-hmm. And you've had, that kind of helps home prices go up, right? But at the rates being so low, you've had people's buying power go up as well, right? So that's why you've got it's a true seller's market. I mean, this is all personal opinion, but I think, as rates start to, slowly, continually start to go up, sure. And they are, I think it's like 25 basis points every quarter, every 6 weeks or so. I mean, that's the plan right now. Who knows what'll happen, with Ukraine and everything, because it might change things, but at least that's what they say.
Right.
Who knows? But I think they'll continue to go up slowly. But I think, if it hits, like say we hit 5% interest rates, which, I mean, at mortgages, how long would it take? Maybe 9 months to a year, maybe, I don't know. But say we get up that high, I mean, people's buying power is going to be reduced by probably close to 10 to 20%, right? So our home price is going to go down 10 to 20%. I don't know, but I mean, I think, at that time, we'll probably start to see some sort of equilibrium, and the rates start to come back down, I'm sure. And hopefully everything will be a hunky-dory. So to answer your question originally, how long till we get to an equilibrium state? I mean, I think a year and a half, 2 years before it starts to really mellow out.
Do you think it'll just, with inflation as wages typically rise, do you think it'll be more of like, hey, home prices will stay where they're at? There won't be a dip necessarily, but it'll just, people will just kind of get used to that.
They'll make more money, so it feels like it's not as high. Yeah, I think that's more likely to what we'll see. I think you'll start to see, real estate went like this, wages stayed here. As wages start to go up, the relative distance between the two isn't as bad, right? I think you'll see more of that. I don't think we're going to see like a 2008 crash in real estate.
No.
I mean, I can't say it can't happen, right? No one knows. But I think there'd have to be a lot of other external factors outside of just the real estate bubble and the financial bubble for that to happen.
It's far more unlikely that we would see anything as colossal as 2008, just because a lot of that stuff was caused by bad lending.
Yeah.
A lot of just collusion between appraisers, title companies, real estate agents, just a lot of bad. Right. Bad ethical practices, right?
Yeah, and I think lending is actually, it's like harder to get a loan now than it was then. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, then I don't think lending is loosening up anytime soon. And if you've heard anything different, let me know. But it sounds like the restrictions and everything seems to be like it's going to stay pretty constant. So in both 2008 and I think I forget the year, like way back whenever we saw something similar, like lending restrictions loosened up. This 2 times it's happened in history. So as long as that doesn't happen, then I don't think we're going to run into the same issue exactly. I mean, who knows? Again, no one has a crystal ball, but
no one has a crystal ball for sure. But I mean, there's certain measures you can look at to see, when things do get better. Maybe eventually. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be. Maybe I think a little bit longer, maybe 3 years almost before wages kind of catch up to a leveling out of prices of homes, right? So eventually it doesn't feel as hard to the consumer's wallet. But I don't know, it is a little bit scary, just kind of, the day and age we live in, just because, when we were, in 7th, 8th grade is when we had the recession, and our parents felt that and everything. So we've been through that, and we've been through a pandemic in 2020. Now we're going through the invasion of Ukraine by Russia.
Yeah.
So it seems a lot. I mean, in our lifetime alone.
Oh yeah. I mean, we saw the Iraq War. We saw this now. We've
9/11,
seen 9/11. We saw the COVID, and I mean we like for a short under 30 years old, everyone under 30, I mean, you've lived through a lot of stuff.
Yeah. and obviously, listen, we're not in, very grateful for the times we live in.
Oh,
for
yeah.
Sure. We're not going through, in the U.S. itself isn't in a direct war. This isn't World War II or World War I, obviously. Yeah. So I'm very grateful for where we're at today. But it doesn't hurt, stop the fact that we very well could be in another recession the next 6 to 12 months.
It's very possible. And that's something that, it's very, very I'm not going to say likely, but it's very possible. Times are very uncertain. I wouldn't say they're good or bad necessarily.
For sure.
But it's very uncertain. And this is, I think I made a video in my mastermind group. I'm not sure if you saw it or not, but yeah, I said exactly that. And it's just the key is just being prepared for it. So people either our age or older than us, anybody, I mean, like we were saying before, if you can get rid of the consumer debt, and if you can, there's nothing wrong with leveraging real estate as long as, in my opinion, you have to have debt coverage ratio of at least 1.5, 1.75 at the minimum, leverage, but up to 70%, 75% loan to value. Take that cash and put it to good use.
Don't buy a Lamborghini.
Don't go buy a Lambo. Don't go buy a boat. Don't go buy some stupid things. I'm not saying take debt out in the middle of a potential recession and go buy stupid stuff. What I'm saying is take that cash and keep it as reserves, or take that cash because it's better to have cash in a recession than to not. Right?
Those times cash is king. Right.
Well, it's cash in a recession, and if they keep bumping rates up, and it starts to become a deflationary environment, and your cash is worth more now. Well, it's better to hold it,
Yes.
So if you can intelligently take, leverage, some real estate or something that's stable and, covering the debt, I don't see why not. This is not financial advice to anybody. But that's something I'm looking at doing in the short term while rates are not super high.
And that's what our last guest, Yoshi Nakamura, was talking about. He's like, hey, listen, in these uncertain times, I'm staying cash heavy.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what's going to happen. Something is going to happen, but you got to be prepared for it, right? Your gun's got to be loaded, right?
Exactly.
So whatever it may be, call it stock market, real estate, dude, who knows? Whatever it could be, I don't think the bad times are over. I think it's going to essentially get worse before it gets better. And for those who are financially smart, right, who have kept a good amount of reserves, then you'll reap from it, right? So they always say like, riches are made in recessions, right?
Riches are made in recessions, and you make money. Buy when the blood's in the streets, and be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. Like those are all, they're all saying the same thing. Is essentially just be prepared. It's not luck. Luck is when opportunity crosses the path with preparedness. Mm-hmm. So if you can, be at that crossroad and opportunity comes along, if you're prepared to take advantage of it, then you're going to the moon.
100%. And so you were talking a little bit about Ray Dalio and the Changing Waldorf, which is an amazing book. I'm not done with it yet. It's a big book, right?
It's a big book. Yeah.
But in it, he was talking about, he was looking at the last 500 years of different empires. So he looked at, the Dutch Empire, the British, Chinese, the U.S., and then I'm forgetting another.
I think France, Great Britain. There was. He looked at a lot.
Yeah. So basically, he was saying, I think it was the period from 1815 to around 19, right after World War II for China. It's like the lost 100 years, or the lost century or something. But now what you're seeing is you see the economy of China on the rise, right?
Right. His whole insinuation in the book is you see China coming up and the U.S. going down. I mean, that's really the one of the big takeaways from it. Not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, but that's one of the big takeaways that you see. Exactly.
And have you done any, have you seen any empirical data about that yourself that you've researched, or just kind of more hearsay or anything? Or
I mean, think about how much we've been buying from China for the last since I've been alive. I mean, when I was a kid, everyone's like, oh, made in China, and I see that, and I remember that, and I just see more and more of that. A lot of things are built in China, and I can't say that. Obviously, COVID's a great example. All these companies went and globalized their supply chains, and I kind of think they just did it because everyone else was doing it. I don't think they had a true business plan put together, because I'm looking at this, and obviously we're a small business, but there's no way we'd even think about that in the near term, anything like that. But I'm just I see all this happening, and I think about it how is this smart? Why would you want to do this whenever you could make everything in a real close, vertically integrated local area relatively, and you eliminate all these risks in supply chain, and the cost benefit of the shipping and everything is just I didn't really see too much benefit of some things I looked at, but I'm sure there were, right? But I think you see countries like China starting to be really competitive, and trying to pull businesses over there. And I mean, that's kind of what the U.S. did. And you think about it, back in the day, whenever everything was made in America, and all the companies wanted to flock here. You had a lot of productivity. And now you see a lot of that productivity going overseas, So, I mean, for example, you got the Philippines. So this is another one, interesting example. So have you ever heard of a virtual assistant or a VA?
One of the companies we work with uses one actually out in the Philippines.
Yeah. So most of them are, or a lot, I don't know about most of them, but a lot of them are in the Philippines. And a lot of people out in the Philippines can speak really good English, and they are willing to, and a lot of them are very, very intelligent people. And they are.
Well, thank you. I'm also part Filipino.
No, I mean, I'm not saying, obviously around the world, everyone's not saying anything bad about any country or whatever. I'm saying
I'm busting your balls.
There's a lot of, very highly skilled, highly intelligent people in the Philippines, but that's not what people normally think. They think they're more tourist, type businesses. And a lot of them are, but there are people there that will work for $4 an hour and do the same job someone will do here for 15 or 20 or more. And they'll do almost just as good, if not better. It just depends on the person, right? But right there is just the drive and they'll stay up till 3 a.m. to work because they want to be on our time and all that. It is insane.
That level of competition.
You can't beat it in the States. Obviously there are some skilled trades and things that you can only do here, and maybe some things over here. But like for a lot of that stuff, it's going to go overseas because you can't compete with that.
And I 100% know what you mean. Like my German, so like I speak German, right? And I could have gotten a tutor around here locally, but more expensive and doesn't cater to my schedule. So instead I go on an application Preply, and I got a guy out in Germany who teaches me German. I could schedule whenever I want and learn it passively as much as I want. So why would I want to cater to someone who's local?
Right.
And
probably pay him more
and pay more. You know what I mean? So I get it. I mean, we becoming more globalized. You're going to have that increase of competition, and I don't know. Honestly, I think it comes down to what Ray Dalio says: like, who wants to work harder? Who
wants to win?
Yeah.
If we want to save. Save. I mean, if you want the United States to be competitive, we got to, just like anybody in the world does, you have to make more than you spend, and you have to be wanting to win. You have to you play to win. You don't play to stay alive. You don't play to end the game. You play to win, right? So we got to play to win and make more than we spend as a country. And if we do that, I mean, any country that does that is going to be successful.
Do you think that mindset has? I hate to say generational, but because of our the baby boomers, they very integrated people, very balls to the wall people, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if I see that as much, in the typical American. Now, I'm coming from a wrestling background where pretty much everybody I know is like that.
Everyone's balls to the wall.
Exactly. But then you kind of go out of that sphere. It's like, why aren't you getting overtime? Why aren't you staying later? You should come in early, stay late, easy soft skills, to where you're not going to make as much money on the upfront, but over time you will eventually.
Right.
I don't know if I see that mindset as much. It's more so like, hey, the work-life balance. I hear that a lot. Work-life balance,
right?
Which I get, and I'm all for the work-life balance. But it's like you gotta get there first,
You're exactly right. I mean, you gotta make some coin before you can actually work hard, play hard, right? I mean, it's just like in the book. It talks about how at the peak you start to see people in trying to enjoy the pleasures of life, the leisures,
the riches,
way more than working hard and being devoted. And I completely agree with you. I think that is like something that's just changed in our society a lot. Going back to that consumer mindset, it's just like a big cycle. It seems like that. And after reading it, and after I watched a summary of it again after I read it, just to kind of really let it sink in, it really hits home. It's just like, I mean that makes sense. So I mean, who knows over the next 100 years? I mean, a lot of crazy stuff could happen, and I mean there could be. And the crazy thing is, we are living in way crazier, different times than anything else in history. So you could have one revolutionary invention that changes the face of the world, changes that whole landscape, and maybe some random country just shoots up. Maybe we shoot up. There's the metaverse is coming out now. That's gonna just take control of everyone's minds, I think. But I will say, like, there is a lot of that's a huge opportunity, and cryptocurrency and like all these new technologies that are coming out. I think there's going to be a revolutionary technology that comes out over the next year or 2 years, or in the near term future, that's going to just change the face of the world. And I think whichever companies or countries capitalize on that, they are going to be the successful ones into the new world order, if you want to use the lingo. But I think that's going to be much more. That's going to be a much bigger multiplier, a huge influence compared to just the normal cycle you see.
Yeah, when you have buy-in from a society like that's powerful. Stevie, how we doing?
You're at about an hour.
Okay, gotcha. Hey, as we wrap up here, Danny, really just want to say, like, hey, number one, thank you for being on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But ending it here, let's say a college, recent college graduate comes up to you and says, Danny, hey man, we're living in some scary times here. And I don't know what I want to do with my life. what's your advice? What would you give them or her?
Yeah. Scary times. I mean, financially, we talked about a lot of that stuff. Just kind of take care of your house first. Your household first. I mean, make sure you've got good people around you. Make sure you're happy, and then also just make sure you're stable. I mean that's number one. Get a nice base of reserves, and then just make sure that you are ready, the guns loaded to take on whatever comes your way. I mean that's number one. But then after that, be aggressive as all hell. I mean, like right now at a college graduate age, the key is being aggressive at a young age. I mean, because you can't be as aggressive at an old age. You have to be more stable. You can't. You want to keep what you've earned. You can't afford a huge loss in your 70s, right? But at a 19, 20, 21-year-old or whenever you graduate college now, be aggressive and just don't look back.
Be aggressive, don't look back. Love it, Danny. All right, hey man, thank you for coming on. That's episode 17, Elevate Cleveland podcast.
17.